Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Reese's Peace of Mind. I know it's been a while. Happy New Year. Happy belated Christmas. And I'm just glad to be back home doing the things that I love. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's been a long December. I don't know about you guys, but Christmas and New Year's is so stressful to me. I had so much going on, and this year it was even more stressful. Um, I guess my body decided that New Year's was going to be and Christmas time was going to be the perfect time for me to catch one of the absolute worst flus of my life. I thought I was dying. I still have a bit of a cough, and if I sound a little bit congested, that's probably why. I also just had decided that that was going to be the time that I was going to fracture my ankle in the gym. So it's just been a crazy wild time for me in the month of December. I'm just glad to be finally kind of recuperating, getting it back together, getting back into the groove, doing my podcast. So yeah, let's get this show on the road. Like I said, I hope you guys had a better New Year and better Christmas than me. And I really want to get into this book. So, this episode is going to be a little bit different from my previous episodes because I'm sorry to say this, but the book we are talking about today, I did not finish, which is very rare for me. And I know you're like, if you didn't finish, why are you coming on here and talking about it then, Reese? Well, because we're reacting to books. I tried to read the book. I tried to finish the book. It was just, there are a lot of things going on in that book that just made me unable to read it. And that's saying something. If you go back to my last 4 episodes of this said podcast, you can see that I've read some pretty crazy stuff and made it from beginning to end. But this book, oh my goodness, I couldn't bring myself to finish this. Also, before I get started deep into the book and before we get into all that, I almost forgot to say, I really want to start implementing a little something new into my podcast. So I know that I react to stories that people have given me, but I really want to, stories that are already published. I'm reacting to smaller creators, Kindle writers, books that people talk about, books that people publish online. But what I want to start doing and start implementing is actual like submissions. I think that would be fun for me because I used to do that all the time in college, like you workshop and then you read your stuff aloud and we dissect it, take it apart and put it back together. So I always loved doing that in college and just workshopping stories. So I really want to bring an element of that to the podcast. So I really want to start bringing in and taking in submissions of things that even smaller creators have written, short stories, fan fictions, like just get into things like that and implement it into Reese's Peace of Mind. So let me know what you guys think about that. If I'm gonna start honing in and like really nailing down that idea more, making it more concrete. But I just wanted to shoot the shit and like see what you guys think about it if I start implementing that thing. But now that that's out of the way and we're keeping that in mind, let's get into this book. So the book that I'm talking about and did not finish is actually Court of Nightmares. And this one was kind of a highly recommended book for me. Like multiple of my friends, multiple of a couple people who watch the podcast and stuff like that asked me to, a really close friend of mine who I guess she started it around the same time as me, was like hyping it up. She was like, yeah, I think you should read it. I think that you'll like this one, and gave me the premise. And I was like, okay. I can get down with that. A little vampire spiciness. That I dabble in the fantasy as well. Everything ain't gotta be like just regular fiction. So I pick up this book and I start reading it, and it starts off so good because we have our protagonist, and she's badass and she's a fighter, and like they're explaining the way that this world works, is supernatural slash vampire world, and how people have their true mates, which is, yeah, a common trope. But I really like the way that this was written and kind of prepared in the beginning of the novel. I was really enjoying like our main character Althea, and how she, she's young, she's waiting to find her mate and go into this big party, and it's built up so well throughout the novel, and we're meeting her best friend, and it's just like I'm saying, it's built up very well, getting to know this character, getting to know this world. She goes to the party. She's a bad bitch, like she ain't got her mom, but her mom was like with the shits when she was alive. And bam, she gets there, she meets her supposed to be future man, future mate, and she's like, oh my gosh, like so excited, pulls up on this man, and she's like, you're my mate. He got bitches on his left, bitches on his right. He looking down at her, he's actually the king. He look at her and he's like, no, not today, not with you, not ever. I don't want to be tied down, and I damn sure don't want to mate. My girl is heartbroken. She's like distraught, she leaves the party crying. And in this book, they've written it like, if your mate rejects you, you're fucked. Like, you start going crazy, you start like, your mental start getting messed up. Like, this really truly fucks them up. So now I'm like, oh, what is she gonna do? What we gonna do? Because you only got one mate. And this, I'm telling you, like, at this point, I'm deep into this story. Like, I'm rooting for her, girl. I'm feeling bad for her. She leaves her best friend. She leaves the court that she was a part of. Like, she goes out onto the streets. She start murking motherfuckers. She start kill. Oh, you fucking up. Kill him. Kill this person. Kill that person. And I'm deep into this now. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, she's going crazy, and they're not supposed to be drinking human blood and stuff. And she's like, I don't care. Like, I don't care about any of this, because the human blood, it messes them up, start making them look all scraggly and stuff, start making their mental even worse. And like, she's doing this because she's like, oh, it gets away the pain. I don't even care anymore. I don't care about my life. I don't care about anything, bro. So apparently in this world, there's like, so there's different courts, which I would say is similar to like kind of like different kinds of nations here. And the Court of Nightmares, hence the name of the book, is the court that basically deals with stuff like that. That's your judges, like your the people who judge you for your crimes and make you pay for them. And so she gets snatched up by this group because, like I said, she out here just killing motherfuckers. She don't care no more. Like, she's like, you better die. You gotta die. Like, and she's saying it like, I don't care. I don't care about life. I don't care if I die. I don't care if I live. Like, girl just going through it. So she gets snatched up by Court of Nightmares, gets there, and like, they have this, they're supernatural. They have this way of being able to see like your entire like life, like everything you've done, even if you don't want to. So she take the L. Like, she knows she about to die. She just watched 4 motherfuckers in front of her with similar crimes get their heart ripped out their motherfucking chest. So she's like, oh, just take me, just do it. I don't even care. I'll be done. They take her, look at her life. They feel bad. They're talking about it, and they're like, I'm so sorry, but the laws is a law. And they rip that girl heart out, rip her right out of her chest. And then bam, she doesn't die. So as you can see, story investing, like, they're building this whole entire world up. She get there, and her mom's like, her dead mom is like, she's basically in like the afterlife, and her dead mom's like, yo, like, you can go back, you can live, you got things that you still got to do, but the choice is yours. I mean, you can stay here with me and we can run off into the fields together, or you can go back down there and you can make amends for your past sins and just live, and like live the future that the gods have built for you. So she's like, man, I guess I'll go back down, even though she's like doesn't want to. She goes and she comes back. Turns out this happens to everybody who's a part of the Court of Nightmares. So they see her and they're like, oh my gosh, like, we ain't never seen a woman come back. It's just the 7 of us and we all men. Albeit 2 of them fucking each other, but that's neither here nor there. So they're like, we're all men. Like, this is not a woman thing. Women don't come up in here. We don't really see pussy like that. So she comes and she's like, oh, like, introduce me. Like, I'm here. I'm not leaving. I'm part of this court now. So they start hitting it off, getting into it. And I would say from that point on, the book becomes shit. The first like 5 chapters, or like 5 chapters of that book are like the best part of the book. I can't say the entire book because of course I didn't finish it, but I made it halfway before I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I'll just say from the reviews that I've read, I was not missing anything. A lot of people had the same problems as me. So, what were said problems? I would say that the biggest problem that I had within this book was the pacing. I felt like the pacing was so fucking bad, bro. Like, from that point that I just ended me telling you about, like, the beginning of the story on, from like the moment she like meets these men, the story pacing just fucking plummets. Like, after she meets these men and they hit this off, like, they wash the entire plot away with just fucking. And as a erotica connoisseur extraordinaire lover, I've never ever wanted fucking to stop so bad in a book. I found myself skipping the sex scenes because there was just so many of them that you never see the actual plot within the story. Mind you, this girl came back to life because she was supposed to be saving the entire supernatural / vampire race. That's what she came back to life to do. A god gave her his life and all of his power so that she's able to accomplish this task. And 90%, like 98% of the fucking book is straight fucking. To the point where, like, it would be like 5 chapters, bam, 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 of straight fucking. You get maybe you'll get one chapter where the characters actually like do something to further the plot, to like, so that she'll actually be saving somebody or like fighting or doing something badass. Maybe one chapter. Half the time you get like half a chapter, just the beginning of the chapter of it, and then the rest of the chapter be fucking. But let's just say you get lucky and then get the one chapter where it's straight action. The next chapter is starting off with fucking. I promise you that. I promise you that. And then it'll go for like 5 chapters deep and of fucking, and then a little bit of plot. Now, I don't know about y'all, But that sounds like it's going to take me a whole lot of motherfucking time for this book to get to the point. And it's not even that, because like I said, like that's a lot of eroticas have a lot of sex in it. But I'm talking about they just added those scenes, so many of those scenes onto the story that the story went nowhere. I am halfway through the book. Halfway. 300 pages deep into this book. And she's done 2 things to further the plot. 2 things. And it was within like 4 chapters, guys. I was like, you've got to be kidding me, bro. You've got to be kidding me. I couldn't keep doing it, bro. You're telling me I've read 300 pages within this book and we still have not done anything to further this plot from the beginning? They've killed like maybe 1 person that matters. Y'all, I was over it, bro. I was so over it because the sex scenes also began to become repetitive. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. The sex scenes began to become repetitive because it would just be like the same thing with a different dude. Like there would be nothing new about the sex thing, nothing exciting. It's just the same type of sex, nothing added to it except for and when they did add to said sex things, it would be something off the wall, insane, crazy, make you start rethinking why you're reading the book. Like, I feel like you have to at least throughout every sex scene have a little bit of plot. Like, sex, plot, sex, plot, sex. That's how most eroticas work. This one, it would be like sex, 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 a little bit of plot, sex, 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 sex. And it's like, oh my gosh, I'm over it. I'm just over it. And I thought it was just me. I thought I was going crazy. So I FaceTime my friend who recommended the book, the one who I said was reading it with me. And she felt the same way. She was like, it's just so hard for me to get through it because there's just so much sex. And when she said, I've never wanted to skip sex scenes before, but in this book I did. I was like, okay, so it's not just me. It really is ridiculous. So I would say like they could have cut, like, if I'm being honest with you, they could have cut 50. This book could have been at least 200 to 300 pages less if they cut out a lot of the unnecessary sex scenes, and they would still have a lot of sex scenes. Like, if they cut out like 20 chapters, the plot and the sex would still be it would balance well and it would work well. So I just felt like the pacing was the reason that like I stopped reading it. I just couldn't keep reading the book and read another 10 chapters of straight sex to get one of fucking plot onto it. Of story. You have to give us a balance. You have to give us something to like keep us reading. We're not just sitting here reading a porno magazine. You have to give us some substance. We're reading a book at the end of the day. So that was my first problem. My second problem was the 7 male characters, bro. Like, the 7 male characters started off so well. Like, you get a little bit of a dark past, a little bit of abuse with this one. And this one had, like, family problems where he was actually a really bad person in the beginning. And he had to learn when he came back to life to grow from that. I don't know what happened. But I swear to you, all these motherfuckers just started like slowly like meshing and melding together and becoming the same exact person. The same exact person. I was like, wait, which one is this? Is this Osis? Is this Nox? I wouldn't know because their personalities the way they were written, they started becoming like the same person with one little, until they said their backstory, until they said a little bit of their backstory, you didn't know who it was. Like, they were written like with the same voice, like the same way of talking. Like, the only person who had like a very different personality was Osis, and that's because he was scared of the main character. So it was kind of hard to make him sound like the rest of them. The rest of them just started acting the same. So it made it really hard to get through it because they became very one-dimensional. And how am I supposed to keep reading through characters that I have no attachment to now? Like, they all became very very submissive, very, all of them, very submissive, very much do whatever you please. Like, you're the queen, I'll give it all to you, which is fine. But like, you're telling me every single character, all 7 of the men that she was fucking, all are going to act that way? Like, you have to give us somebody with a little push and pull that's not pushing away because he's scared of her. Well, and they didn't give us that. They didn't give us that substance, and it made the characters very, very one-dimensional and very, very hard to keep up with. And they would change perspectives, and I found myself forgetting like which one it was. And it could just be that the author had a hard time writing because it was 7 whole men that she had to keep up with. But you could tell that like they weren't all fleshed out, and it made it extremely hard to read. So that was like another really big problem with me, like, going forward in the book. There were definitely some cringeworthy scenes throughout the book. There was at one point where she was quite literally one of the guys. I believe it's Knox. Let me make sure. You know, I had to keep notes of like who was who, because I kept forgetting like which one was which. Lycus. It's Lycus. My apologies. Lycus is a spider, and y'all know where I'm going with this, right? Lycus is a spider, and Lycus, spider form, likes her as well. So her and Lycus have a very, 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 very deep exposing sex scene. A very wild sex scene. She does this with the spider. I'm not talking about Lycus in human form, guys. I'm talking about straight gigantic fucking spider, 8 legs and all. Starts fucking him. I said, how you fuck a spider? I said, that's, you know what? They got it. She starts smashing old boy in his spider form. Buddy takes a leg, breaks that bitch off inside of her. Breaks that off inside of her. Don't know how. I don't know how we got there. I don't know why we got there. I feel like in the supernatural world, there's a lot of animals and a lot of things that these people could have been. The author chose spider. Maybe she loves spiders. I don't know. I just want to know why we gotta fuck him in the spider form. Shit had me flabbergasted. Mouth open like this. Like, I think that I think one of my friends, or maybe it was my sister, thought that I was going to cringe at the fact that 2 of the guys be fucking. But I told her that's a very common trope with the reverse harems. You're going to see that a lot in it. So actually very used to that. Doesn't bother me. Might bother some, but did bother me. But a spider? That's where I draw the line. I said, he did what? And then it's just like, oh, blood, bit him, webs. It was all over me. and come. I said, spiders come? Since when do spiders come? I had so many questions and I got so little answers. I just felt that shit kind of took me out, and that was getting towards like the middle of the book, and I knew that I probably wasn't going to make it through the rest of this book at this point, especially when he broke the spider leg off inside of her coochie, and then when he turns back into human form, starts fucking her with the spider leg. I was like, yeah, buddy, you lost me. I've had enough of this. I just feel like I'm already not really into animal play, but spider play is where I draw the line. I'm not really into insect. Maybe some people like that. I'm not judging. Ain't no kink shaming over here, but it's not for me. But that scene, a lot of the sex scenes, like I said, very repetitive, very just kind of the same shit over and over again. So there was nothing really noteworthy about this book, if I'm being honest, except for the beginning. I can't even give you guys like a good debrief on different things that I liked within this book. Because the beginning, like I told you guys, was all I really liked. I don't know anybody else who's read this book, because my friend, she actually ended up, she ain't finished it yet either. She said she gonna finish it. We'll see about that. She's a fast reader like me, and let me just say, she hasn't finished it yet. But maybe some people just like no plot and straight sex. And if you do, this is the book for you. You can go on Goodreads. I can actually pull it up. Goodreads has a couple of reviews that I'll read. We have one person that says, pure smut, no plot. Normally, I'm not necessarily opposed to those books, especially if I know what I'm getting into before I go in. I love a good why choose. I love a bad why choose. But 7 love interest was too much. Everything blended together and was the same. Usually the lack of plot is made up for the smut, but there was just too much. I was skimming half of or 3/4 of the book, and every other page was a scene with a different guy, and it all felt the same. I'm not getting the plot/story, and the smut isn't enough to keep reading. I feel the exact same way, Margaret. That's exactly how I felt. Margaret is spitting. There are some people who do like the book. A lot of people just kind of leave like half a star. Another girl named Anna says, this book falls under the it was okay for me. Now, if you're looking for a reverse harem that serves you spice with individuals in a group and with monsters, where the main character can do no wrong and have some baggage and they suddenly start feeling okay about after meeting the heroine, this is definitely will serve you that on a silver platter. And I can agree with that. Like I said, it's not for me. I wasn't a fan of it, but like some people, they see the appeal. Excuse me. I'm talking a lot, so now I'm starting to cough and stuff, so there might be some editing, so it might look a little weird around this point. So much happened, yet nothing happened. This person likes to make reviews, so this is a bit of a long one, but I want you guys to hear this because I feel like this person really summed up how I feel about this book. Now, my main issue is that there was so many plot and character inconsistencies. I get that it's a big cast and a lot is happening. Before I finish, I just want to say you chose to write a big cast. So if you do choose, because 7 is a lot of men, but if you do choose 7, you really have to think to yourself, can I keep up with this amount of men, and can I keep up with this plot and this kind of story writing and character development? If I can't, maybe I should lower it down. Felt like the person should have lowered it down. But anyways, I get it's a big cast and a lot is happening. But the fact that there are just so many big and small things just change randomly. It feels like the author has forgotten what they wrote previously, so they're making it up as they go. The biggest inconsistency is that at the very start, we're told vampires change at the age of 16, but when we're in Reeves' point of view, he went through his change at the age of 18. Which is it? There are so many more, but I'd literally be writing a 10-page essay if I were to mention all of them. Another thing, there are 7 men in her harem. I am all for the more the merrier, but can they all please have an actual personality? Facts. This book also tried so hard with the plot, but there were so many hypocrisies. I found it hard to wrap my head around the politics, but there's also gods. But wait, they don't have to follow normal rules. But wait, they do have to follow the rules. If it goes back and forth between so many different things that I genuinely have absolutely no idea what happened anymore. And on that note, before I finish this review, if you just want to make a smut novel, make your plot easy to write so that you can keep up with it. I felt like the author couldn't keep up with her own plot. She wanted to write this big, huge, elaborate plot, but also got so stuck in the sex scenes that the plot became irrelevant. Then make the plot simple so that the story can keep going forward and you don't have to spend so much time focusing on it. Because by her doing like this huge elaborate plot but still wanting to write her story 90% smut, you just end up making an inconsistent, kind of boring story that nobody wants to keep up with anymore. But that's just me. The female main character read like a baddie from a Wattpad fan fiction, chosen one trope that tried so fucking hard. She's a nightmare, she's a goddess, she has the power of a god, she has 7 mates, she's otherworldly, she's this and that, literally fucking everything. For the sake of your own sanity, please leave yourself the time and stay away from this with a 10-foot pole. Unless you're in it just for the monster smut, I don't care about don't care about anything else, then go for it. And I agree. If you like a little bit of story, don't read this book. Cuz I like my smuts with a little bit of story, and you're not going to get that with this book. So, as you can see, I'm not a big fan. You guys can read it. Let me know how you feel about it. It's on Kindle Unlimited. You can buy the actual book on Amazon. Read it, find it somewhere else online. I don't know, go to Barnes and Noble, but I don't think that I will be finishing this book anytime soon. If you've read the book and you like the book, tell me what you liked about it. And if you say the sex scenes, that's on you. I love that for you. But this book is definitely not for me. I'm going to end my review here with saying plot and story is extremely important for me within books, but I also know when you can give up a little bit of your plot and story to make a good, spicy book. And I don't think that this book did it well. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Vote in the polls below. Let me know any book recommendations that you think that I should read. I'm going to give my voice a rest. My nose is starting to block up again because I've been talking so much. I love you guys. I appreciate you being patient with me. This is all very new to me. So I'm still just trying to get this show on the road. But I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And I can't wait to see you for the next episode of Reese's Peace of Mind. Love you. Peace.